go. First of all, good evening, everyone. Glad to see everyone again. It's 6 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. So I had several questions this week about adding or subtracting, or what I call combining rational expressions. So can everyone see the screen?
No, it's not up.
It's not up? Okay, let me see. And again, this is from the GED study guide, and this is, I have some examples like this in my study, my practice test also. But would anybody know how to do this problem? Like, look at that, 3 over x plus x over x plus 2. I mean, just looking at that makes my brain hurt. Does it make your brain hurt?
Yes.
But this is actually not a hard problem. Okay, let me ask you a question. What if I had this right here? Let me get my pen. What if I had this right here? Does anybody know how to do that problem?
Yes.
Okay, how would you do that problem? What do you have to do first in order to solve this problem?
What I do is cross multiply. I would say 4 times 1, which is 4. I put 4 on top by the 1.
Mm-hmm. You said 4 up here. So if I asked you what's 1/3 plus 1/4, what's your answer?
7/12.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I've been doing a lot of talking.
So I heard somebody say 7/12. How did you get 7/12?
I put it in my calculator. I mean, I did. I'm sorry. I did. I'm sorry.
That's all right. How would you do it by hand?
4 times 1, which is 4.
Uh-huh.
And 3 times 1, which is 3. So
Uh-huh.
you add 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bottom you do 3 times 4, which is 12.
Okay, so you did 4 times 1 plus 3 times 1 over 4 times 3.
Yes.
Okay. And you get 7/12.
Yes.
Because 4 plus 3, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 times 1 is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7, over 4 times 3 is 7/12. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can see that. All right. So both are, now, what most people are taught to find the common denominator. Okay, so you have 1/3 and 1/4. So first, most people, actually it's called lowest common denominator. And how do you find the lowest common denominator? So first, what you want to do is, first of all, you want to find the multiples of 3. You look at your denominators. What are your denominators for these two fractions? What are your denominators?
3, 6, 9, 12, which is for
No, what are your denominators for these two fractions?
Oh, thank you. Maybe let me have this one.
For the first term, what's your denominator? So for your first term, what's your
Wouldn't be
denominator?
1 wouldn't be the denominator?
Nope. All right,
The
so let's
lowest
make sure.
term?
So let's make sure we understand when we talk about fractions. The top is called your numerator. The bottom is called your denominator. So when you got to find the lowest common denominator, it means you got to use the denominator to find the lowest one or lowest multiple of those numbers. So you can add those numbers or subtract those numbers. Because what we must remember is, in order to add or subtract fractions, you must have a common denominator. So in this case, you don't have a common denominator. One is 3, the other is 4. So if we look at 3, we find the multiples of 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We look at the multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16. So the lowest common denominator. So find the lowest one that's in both of them. The lowest one in both of them
12.
is 12. So your lowest common denominator would be 12. Okay, so now we have to go back to what's called equivalent fractions. So 1/3 is equal to how many 12ths? And we're going to do the same thing for 1/4. 1/4 is equal to how many 12ths? So what do I have to multiply 3 by to get 12?
4.
4. So whatever I multiply the bottom by, I must multiply the top by. Why? Because 4/4 is 1, so we're not changing the value. So 1 times 4 is 4. So 1/3 is equivalent to, or is the same as 4/12. What do I have to multiply 4 by to get 12?
3.
3. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 1 times 3 is 3. So 1/4 is the same as 3/12. So now we're going to substitute. Instead of 1/3, we're going to put 4/12. Instead of 1/4, we're going to put 3/12. And now because they have the common denominator, we can now add the numerators. 4 plus 3 is 7, and the common denominator is 12. Okay, so that's how we get 7/12. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you background information so you can understand the steps needed to solve this problem. So what you recognize is that these are fractions. They have variables in them, but they're fractions, right? So remember, we must have a common denominator in order to add fractions. Well, we don't have a common denominator, right? So similar to what Darlene did is she multiplied each denominator by the other. So for example, here, what's my denominator of my first term?
X.
X, very good. What's the denominator of my second term?
X plus 2.
X plus 2, very good. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first term by the other denominator. So X plus 2. So this is similar to what you was doing, Darlene, X plus 2. Now, whatever we do at the top, we must also do at the bottom. Now, on the other side, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply by the other denominator, both top and bottom. Now, why do we do that? So let me show you why we do that. So let's look at the top. So we got 3 times X plus 2 over X times X plus 2. Does everybody understand that?
Mm-mm.
Who said mm-mm?
Me,
Who's me? Who's me? Me.
Keisha.
Okay. All right. So remember, for example, we got 1/3 plus 1/4. We had to multiply this term by 4/4. We had to multiply this term by 3/3. So we multiplied this 3 by the other denominator. But in order to, whenever you do something, you can't just multiply by 4. What happens is you have to do top and bottom. Why? Because X plus 2 over X plus 2 is just 1. Anything over itself is 1. So this way, with this example here, we would have 4/12 plus 3/12. So we had to find that common denominator of 12 before we added them. So what we're doing here is the same thing. So we're multiplying, let me change the color. We're multiplying top and bottom by the other denominator, X plus 2. So we multiplied X plus 2. So this we have 3 times X plus 2. And on the bottom, you have X times X plus 2. So that's what we got here. I just put this 3 in front because that's how you normally see it. Plus X times X over X times X plus 2. If you notice now, they have the same denominator, X times X plus 2. So on the top, we're going to distribute this 3. And if I have this 3 on the outside of X plus 2, what do I need to do first?
Multiply 3 times X.
3 times X. What's 3 times X?
3X.
3X. And then what I'm going to multiply next?
3 plus 2. 3
Go ahead.
plus 2.
3 times 3
plus
times 2. So
Yep.
that's give you what?
6.
Over x times x plus 2. Here, what's x times x?
X.
Nope. What's
Oh.
x times x?
Oh, 2x.
Nope. What's x times x?
X.
Nope. So it's 5 times 5, 5?
No.
So it's
No.
impossible for x. Well, it's not impossible. X times x to be equal to x. Because only time that's possible when x is 0 or 1. But any other number, that's not possible. So x times x cannot be 2x because we're not adding the terms. We're
Oh.
multiplying. So what is x to the first power times x to the first power? So what is the rule when we're trying to multiply exponents with the same base? What do we do to the exponents? So if I had x squared, if I had x squared times x to the 5th, what's x squared times x to the 5th? Anybody? All right, so we're gonna have to go do some exponents tonight too. When you have exponents with the same base, so understand that here, your base is x, your exponents are 2 and 5. When you have exponents with the same base and you're multiplying, you add the exponents. So this is the same as x to the 7th.
Okay.
Here, you're not seeing the ones. You're not seeing the exponent of 1, but you have to know if you see a variable, the coefficient is 1 and the exponent is 1. So again, we add the exponent. So x times x is x squared. Gotta know x times x is x squared. Gotta know that. Because then you can't, or otherwise you can't multiply binomials. You have problems with quadratic formulas. X times x is x squared. So x times x is x squared over x times x plus 2. Now, because they have a common denominator, we can now combine the numerators, but that none of them are like terms. So we just put them all together. X squared plus 3x plus 6 all over x times x plus 2. So that would be your final answer. Now that gives a lot of people problems. Okay, so you're gonna have, so I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's called Adding Rational Expressions, where I go over, I think, this specific example. Now you have this video you can also look at. So, but this is a question you have to be ready for. Now they're probably only gonna have one. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time, but I would be prepared for something like this. So let's give an example. Let me get another example and let's see if I can find it. I think it's right here. No, that's not it. That is not it. Hold on. Let me find it. Matter of fact, I'll write it out. Yeah, I'm gonna write it out. I'll just make one up. Where's my blank page? I don't have a blank open. There we go. So I'll just make a problem up. All right, I'm gonna make one up. 2 over 3x plus 4 over x. How, what, Mr. Tinsley? What? How would I do that problem? Remember, you look at them, they're fractions. They must have a common denominator. So the denominator has to be the same. So in the first term, what is the denominator?
3x and x.
3x and x. How can I make this x look like 3x? What would I have to do for this x to look like 3x?
So 1 goes in front.
No, not a 1. What can I multiply x by to be equal to 3x? What can I, times 3. So let me move this over first. Hold on. Let me move this over. Hold on. Let me move this over a little bit. Because the key thing you have to remember, in order to add what they call rational expressions, just think of fractions. They must have a common denominator. So in order to have a common denominator, I would have to multiply this term by 3, because 3 times x is 3x. Now, again, same thing we did with fractions. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So we're going to bring this down. This is 2 over 3x plus, what's 3 times 4?
12.
12. And what's 3 times x?
3x.
3x. Do these two terms now have a common denominator?
Yes.
Do these? Yes. What is the common denominator? What is the common denominator?
3x.
3x. So now what can I do to the numerators? What can I do to the numerators?
Add them.
Add them. What's 2 plus 12?
14.
14 over 3x. So this answer will be 14 over 3x. Now you're probably going to expect one of those, maybe. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on these, but you have to be familiar. You have to have a good understanding that even though you have variables, all y'all are fractions. Got to find a common denominator. And usually what the easiest thing to do is just multiply the other term by the other denominator. That's the easiest way to do it. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay. Here, the reason why I didn't multiply by the other denominator is because I can easily see that all I have to do is multiply x by 3 to get 3x. All right, so that's it. That's it. We're not going to spend too much time. Any other types of problems people had troubles on this week that they have an example of?
Are there gonna be any scientific notation?
Probably not. But if you want me to show it to you, if you haven't taken the science exam,
I have one, Mr. Sim.
it will be on your science exam.
You heard me?
Say it again.
I had one on my test.
Oh,
For
really?
science.
Okay. Okay, scientific notation. Let me show scientific notation. All right. What is scientific notation? Anybody know? Okay, scientific notation is a way to display either very small or very big numbers. For example, if I told you, if I said, somebody tell me that number. What's that number? Matter of fact, let me add the commas for you, make it a little easier. Anybody know what that number is?
518 million.
Nope.
518 billion.
518 billion. So first of all, you got to know your place value: thousands, millions, billions.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to put this in scientific notation, again, with scientific notation is, again, very small or very big numbers. So what you want to do is only have one place in the ones place. So the decimal is here. Any whole number, the decimal is here. Any whole number. So some people think, oh, no, we learned decimals. Whole numbers don't have decimal places. Yes, every number has a decimal place. So 5 is 5.0. 8 is 8.0. Every number has a decimal. Now, for whole numbers, we usually don't show it though. Okay? We usually don't show the decimal place, but every number has a decimal place. So now what do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I had to move my decimal place 11 places for me to only have one digit in the ones place.
Okay.
So this will be 5.18. So all we do is 5.18. And how many times did you move the decimal? 9 times. Oh, no, 3, 6, 9, 11 times. So in scientific notation, this will be 5.18 times 10 to the 11th power. And that's not even considered a big number. So that's what would it be in scientific notation. Now, what I would tell you is, as long as you know how to use the calculator, watch. So let me show you. How do you put in scientific notation? And I'm not saying you shouldn't know it, but if you can do it much easier and know it at the same time. So I have 518 billion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was 9 zeros. Look at that. 5.18 times 10 to the 11th.
So,
Oh, yeah, I got it. I got it.
so what did
Now-
you hit? So how did you get the scientific notation again? You hit mode?
This is the crazy thing. I didn't hit anything because
Okay.
if the number is too big or too small, the calculator will do it for you.
Okay.
Now, let me show you how to do it. So I did want to show you that if the number is either very big or very small, the calculator will already put it in scientific notation. But say you want to know how to do it, of course. Now I do show you in the ebook, but I'm gonna show you real quick. Do a smaller number so you can see it. So let's do 789,000. If I press enter, it just says 789,000. Then put in scientific notation. But how you would show it in scientific notation is very easy. So remember, you want to use mode to change the way your number is displayed on your calculator. So whether that you're rounding, whether it's scientific notation, you will hit mode. You go down to the second row, hit your right arrow to your right on SCI, hit enter. You quit out of this menu, second in mode to quit, press enter, puts it in scientific notation. That easy. So if you do have scientific notation, whether it's you adding, whether you're subtracting, whatever you're doing, you can do it right on your calculator. So that's how you do that. One thing you got to remember is, if you change the way it's displayed on your calculator, you have to change it back. So you have to go back here, go to norm, press enter, get out of your mode, get out of your menu, press enter, and then turn it back to that regular number. And again, that's if you go in the ebook, I'll show you how to do it, but I'll also give you several examples in word problems so you can understand how to use your calculator on the exam. There's no shortcut to studying math, but something that will help you or supplement or complement your studies is learning how to use this calculator. All right, so any other questions that anybody had during the week? So we talked about adding rational expressions. We talked about scientific notation. Anything else? Oh, let me stop. Hold on. Let me do a very small number first. I'm sorry. Let me do a very small number first. 0.00000021. Right? Mode. Oops. Mode. Scientific notation. Enter. Second mode. Press enter. 2.1 times 10 to the minus 9th. So what you should notice, if the number is a whole number, a very large whole number, your scientific notation, your exponent is going to be positive. If it's a decimal or very small number, your exponent is going to be negative. Again, math is about patterns. What do you see? Can you expect? Very small numbers have negative exponents and decimals. Very large numbers have positive exponents. So I just wanted to show you that real quick. And let me go back to and get out of this mode. Go back to norm.
Cindy,
Say it again.
how do you get out of it again? You hit second in mode?
Yeah, you go back to it and you pick norm. Normal for normal.
Right, and then hit enter, right?
Then hit enter.
Uh-huh.
And then hit enter again.
Okay.
Did you see your number go back?
No.
All right, let me do another one. 2, 3. I'll make a big number.
No, I want to just get out of here and go
Second mode. Oops, mode. go to scientific notation, hit enter. Again, it's steps. So I changed my mode to scientific notation. Now I want to go back to my calculator. So I hit second in mode to quit. Then I hit enter. It's in scientific notation. Okay, I want to change the way it's displayed again. So I go to mode. I take it out of scientific notation. So I go back to norm. I press enter. Then I quit out of my menu, second in mode. Then I press enter to get my number back.
Okay.
All right.
Hmm.
Let me clear it. So any other questions or anything somebody had during this week before I find something for us to do?
Coordinate plane.
What about the coordinate plane?
Plotting it. Plotting the.
Okay. A coordinate plane you have to get right. I mean, it's on every single GED exam. It's one of the easiest problems on the exam.
But when you get it, it's not like that. It don't have the points on there at all.
Right.
So it's like the line, but is it like where that point is on? Is that what they're asking for? Because that's what I had a hard time with. I don't understand.
So again, so first of all, about what do you have to know about the coordinate plane? So this is what happens a lot of times with math. We try to remember the questions on the practice test. So we try to remember certain problems, and that's how we learn it. But what you have to know is you have to understand the concepts behind it. So first of all, what you have to recognize, if they give you a coordinate plane, that this is your x-axis.
Right.
This is your y-axis.
Right.
You have to know each point is called an ordered pair.
Right.
Each ordered pair has an x and a y.
Right.
Okay. So they might ask you, they might give you a coordinate plane and ask you what point it is. So again, what you have to remember, ordered pair. Ordered means some type of order, sorted somehow. So what order is this in? X is before Y, just like alphabetical order. X is before Y. So your X is always going to go first. So when you look at a point, my X is going to go first. So what's my X? I come up to my X. My X is what?
3.
3. So in parentheses, because that's how ordered pair must look, 3, comma, then I come over to my Y. What's my Y?
2. Negative
Nope.
2.
Negative 2. Okay. For this point here, again, my X is first. So I got to come down to my X-axis. What's my X?
Negative 4.
Negative 4, comma. What's my Y?
1.
1. Okay. For K, what's my X?
0.
0. What's my Y?
4. No. 3.
3. So those are your 3 points for those 3. This is a guaranteed problem. This is a guaranteed problem. You're going to have where you have to identify a point. Now, so what they'll do is we understand those points, right? Now, look at the multiple choice here. Let me make this smaller. So we know what points that we just had, but the problem is, look at, you have to know X before Y. So here we know that's 3 minus 2. So if this is 3 minus 2, L, 3 minus 2, can't be that one. Can't be that one. So just by getting the first point, you eliminate 2 of your answers. We know K is 0, 3. Boom. Done. What's your question, Sheila?
Are you talking about when you got to point it when it's blank and they don't have the dots on there for you?
Right.
Right. So what they might say is they might ask you to drag and drop to this point. That's the same thing. So for example, say if this is blank, so this is blank, and they told you to, if they told you to go to the point -4, -6. So then you would take your little that's a little bit too big there. That's a little bit too big. You then would have to take your point and move it to, oops, oh my goodness. Hold on. 4 -4 -6. So that's a common, well, yes, they don't have it on the coordinate plane, but they give you the ordered pair. So then you have to take that point and put it there. For example, let me see, GED. I'm gonna show you one real quick. And again, they might have a word problem. They might have different things. You have to be prepared for every
This one right
single,
there, pass.
huh?
The one you just passed where it had that line coming down, but it didn't have those dots there.
Hold on, which one is that? Hold on, this is the one I'm looking for right here. I think it is, yeah. Matter of fact, let me see. I think I got it in here. GED. Practice on is that GED practice. There we go, right there. Let me show this real quick. This is a practice test that I sent everybody from GED. I made a PDF, but it's actual online that you can also get it. So right here, again, this is a word problem. A scientist is studying red maple tree growth. Oh, before you even start reading about that, what do they want to know? That's what you need to get in. Before you even start looking at all that stuff, read your question first. The scientist plots the data for tree 2 on a coordinate grid. She begins by plotting data for year 3 and year 11. What are the locations of the 2 points on the coordinate grid? Click on the grid to plot the points. Oh, well, where do I start on this question? I don't know where to start. What's important in this question? What information do you need to know in order to graph those points?
Diameter of tree 2.
Tree 2. So the only thing we're looking at is tree 2. What else do we need to know?
Year 3 and year 11.
Year 3 and year 11. So if I look at year 3 and year 11, I got to access my 2 points. Remember, they're not going to say the tree is your X value, your trunk diameter is your Y. You have to know, if they ask you about linear equations, you have to understand that every linear equation is Y equal mx plus b. So one of them is your independent variable, one is your dependent variable. So this is my X, this is my Y. Year 3 is right here. Year 11 is right here. You must know when they tell you to plot a point on a coordinate plane, you must know you need 2 values, X and Y. So I got my 2 points that I want to plot. Let me scroll this down a little bit so we can see it. Let me erase this here. Again, listen, they're not going to give you exactly like my practice test or the GED ready. What you have to understand is make sure you understand the concept and what they're asking. So right away, when they say click on the grid to plot the points, right away, if I got to plot a point, I need an X and a Y. So the 2 things I'm going to ascertain from it, tree 2, year 3, and year 11. So I'm going to go here. My first point is going to be what?
3.
3. So right there, I'm just going to click right here.
Yeah.
Nope. How do you plot a point?
That's the X.
There, that's the X. But what does each point need? A X and a what? And a Y. So it's not just 3. What's the
12.
point? 3 and 12. So here, I need to be, X is my 3. I need to go up to my Y, 3, 12. That's where my point should be. That is 3, 12. This is my first point. My second point is what?
11.
11. So am I going to just click on 11?
You go on to 14 and a half.
Right. So my point is not 11. My
No,
point
it's
is
not
11, 14.4. So I'm going to go, my X is 11, and I'm going to go up to my Y till I get to 14.4. Now 14.4 is like in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be my second point. And that's 11, 14.4.
All right, I understand it right here.
It's only a certain amount of questions they can ask you for plotting the point. So they're either going to give you the point and you got to plot it, or they're going to have the points plotted on a coordinate plane and you got to find the ordered pairs. That's the only 2 things they can ask you. Or they can say, for example, for this point, what's the X value? or what's the Y value? That's the only things they could ask you. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let me see. Now again, this is a good practice test because it's similar to just like the GED. So you have to actually fill out an equation. It's about 10 questions, and it's very similar to the GED.
Where's that at? This one.
Um, what I'll do is I'll put it right in the chat for you.
Okay.
So if you want to, you can click on that right now. And then what you can do is bookmark this practice test. It's about 10 questions. It's a lovely test. It'll get you nice and ready.
Well, I click on it and do what? You said bookmark it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, bookmark it. Save it to your favorites or whatever you want to do. So it has a calculator reference and it has a formula sheet.
How do I save it? It don't show me.
You got to bookmark it. So here, right here, you can save it as your bookmark. So that way you can come back to it. Now, once you finish, you go through your 10 problems, whatever, you go through your 10, and then it'll tell you whether you're right or wrong. So it's actually a good practice test. So I made it a PDF. So this test that you see right here is just a PDF from that. So I can send it in the email. That's all this is. So again, this is algebraic expressions, which is 3 or 4 problems on your exam. You're going to have algebraic expressions. You got to know. You got to be able to evaluate algebraic expressions. Here, this is a volume problem. Got to be able to do volume. This is a tables, charts, and graph. You got to be able to do that. This is surface area and linear equations. Got to be able to do that. So don't get intimidated by the word problem. Get in the habit. Like once you go to Schoology and see all the practice problems I have, you're gonna have enough time. Especially if you practice, you're gonna see enough word problems that you're gonna see almost any type of problem, any type of question they can ask you. First thing, my advice is read the question first, so you know what you're looking for. Read the question first, because sometimes like they give you so much information you might not need it all. And what happens is sometimes you get intimidated because they're giving you 3 paragraphs. They're giving you 2 tables. Then they got a diagram. You sitting there like, what? Read the question first so you can be able to know, okay, what information here is important and what information I can use. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I didn't mean to close that. Boy. All right. So again, you're going to have plot a point, or so make sure you prepare for that. Any other questions? All right. So let's go to my missed questions. Where's my missed questions? Here we go. Let's look at missed questions here. So we did compute perimeter. That's funny that you look at that. Look at that. And I didn't do this. Now Sheila didn't know, but these are the ones we did previously. Compute the area and circumference of circles, find the radius of diameter of circle, compute the perimeter and area of polygons, find the length of a polygon when given the perimeter area. And then we also did the compute the perimeter and area of 2-dimensional composite shapes, which can include circles, right? That's what we did the previous couple weeks. And look what the first question is. And I mean, the next area that's the most missed. Locate points on the coordinate plane. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so that's how important it is. It's one of the most missed questions. Okay. So again, they go slope, they go linear equations, they go linear equations again, they go quadratic equations, they go linear equations, they go linear equations, they go inequality. So again, this most missed sheet here is very important. It's right in my ebook. I put it at the end of my book. It's very important. Why? Because if they're the most commonly missed problems, what is the GED telling you? These questions are going to be on your exam.
You send me these in the ebook. I didn't get these yet. I got everything.
It's right. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is what I need to be working on. Well,
yes, definitely. That's what we do. So now, determine the slope from a line, graph, equation, or table. We've already done those. So does anybody need me to go over those again? Okay.
Go over The one that you just went over with the trees. You don't count the top, the bottom. That is very confusing to me.
All right, all right.
I would be determine the slope of a line of a graph. Determine the
What
slope.
question was it? Hold on, let me find. Hold on. You said about the trees, the linear equation, right here. Is that the question you're talking about? Darlene? We must have lost her. Okay, I
This is
think this
determine the slope of a line from a graph. Is that the same thing or no?
is this a graph?
Yeah, that's a graph. Yeah.
So this
But
is
I-
a graph?
No,
No,
it's a
that's not with the
table.
tree.
It's a table. So this is
Right.
this would be slope from a table. So again, slope from equation, slope from a graph, slope from a table. This is a table. So here they want more than a slope. They want the entire equation.
right.
Okay. So first of all, okay, Mr. Tinsley, oh my God, I don't know how to do this problem, Mr. Tinsley. This is hard. This is a lot of information. A scientist is, say it again. A scientist is studying red maple. Oh, what did Mr. Tinsley tell me? Read the question first. Okay. The scientist creates an equation that models her data for each tree so she can predict the diameter in the future. Complete a linear equation that fits the data for tree 1, where X is the year and Y is the trunk diameter. So they're telling you what X and Y are. Click on the variables and numbers you want to select and drag them to the boxes. Okay, let me ask you a question. If I'm trying to find the equation of a line, what 2 things do I need? If I'm trying to find an equation of a line, what 2 things do I need?
X being the year and Y being diameter, the trunk.
So right, they gave that to us. So X and Y. What 2 things do we need to figure out an equation of a line?
We go by y
Right.
equal mx plus b.
Y equal mx plus b. Okay, we got that. That's the slope-intercept form of equation of a line. So what 2 things do we need to get in to know the to determine what the equation of a line is?
Y and x.
Not Y and X. Nope.
The numbers, the negative numbers.
The
Nope.
slope. The
The
slope.
slope.
Yeah, rise over run.
Okay, we need to know the slope, not rise over run, because this is not a graph.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we need the slope and what else? What does the B stand for?
Y intercept.
The Y intercept. So listen to what I'm telling you. If they ask for the equation of the line, this is what you should be thinking right from the doors. Y equal mx plus b. I need to find out what the slope is, and I need to find out what the Y intercept is. Okay, so now, all right, that's good. That's good to know. So how do I find the slope from a table? How do I find the slope from the table?
You go to tree 1.
We go into tree 1. How do I find the slope?
Well, yeah.
So
The difference between year 1 year and third year. 18.6, 19.2.
And what formula are we going to use? Like, what do you mean? What's the difference? Like, I don't understand what you mean. What's the difference? What formula is that? What formula is that? Does anybody know?
Y equal mx plus b.
No, right? That's the equation of the line. But what formula can we use to find the slope?
M
So let me
equal y y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
oops, that's a 1. I don't want you to get confused. That's a 1. So let me move it over a little bit. These are the things you must understand. This is not about memory. You have to, when you do a problem, you must identify what you're given. Okay, so what you have to recognize is that even though they gave you a table, they're giving you multiple points. So as Sheila said, X is my year, Y is my trunk diameter. So when you look at this table for tree 1, they've given me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different points that I could plot on a graph. But they didn't give me a graph, they gave me a table. So instead of giving me $4, they gave me 4 quarters. So they gave me the information in a different way, but they gave me the same information. So what you have to recognize is that you have multiple points. How many points do we need to find the slope?
2.
2. So I'm gonna use these 2. Could I use any 2? Yes. So
Yep.
Y2 would be what? So if I'm using this formula, Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1, what point would be, or what value would be considered Y2?
19.2.
19.2.
19.2. Why 19.2? Why? Because 118.6 is my first point. My second point that I'm using is 19.2. So Y2 would be the Y value of my second point. So 19.2 minus what's Y1?
18.6.
18.6 over X2. What's my X of my second point?
3.
3 minus
Minus
what's
one,
the X of my
one,
first point? 1.
One.
So now I would probably just use my calculator, but 19.2 minus 18.6 is 0.6. 3
2.
minus 1 is 2.
It's 2. 0.3.
0.6 divided by 2 is 0.3. So that's telling me my slope is 0.3. So I'm going to take my mouse, because what do I know? Let me take this over here. Let me move this
slope.
over here. I'm going to
The
move this over here for right now. I'm going to move this. Oops, I can't move. So I'm going to write it again. What I know is Y equal MX plus B. They already gave me the Y. So that means my M needs to go here. My X needs to go here. My Y intercept needs to go here. So I just found out what my slope is. What's my slope?
0.3.
0.3. So I'm going to take this 0.3 and I'm going to drag it right there. My X is just a variable because Y equal MX plus B. So I'm going to put my X right there. So the last part is to find my Y intercept. Oh my God, Mr. Tin, this is a whole lot of work. How am I going to know? How am I going to figure out? How am I going to be able to do all this work? Or what is the Y intercept? The Y intercept is when X is 0. But Mr. Tinsley, I don't have any point in this table where my X is 0. So let me show you something very important. Let me erase this here. Listen, your brain is going to hurt after tonight because this is a lot of stuff going on, but I want to show you the importance of this ebook and how important it is. You have to understand what the slope is. The slope means that, so let me show you what the slope means. The change in Y over the change in X. So we said our slope was 0.3. Well, 0.3 is the same as 0.3 over 1. Am I correct? Because no matter what the number is, anything over 1 is itself. So that means my change in Y over my change in X. Let's look at this table. So every time I change my X by 1, my Y is going to change by 0.3. So watch this. 1, 18.6. My X changes by 1. My Y changes by 0.3, 18.9. My X changes by 1. My Y changes by 0.3, 19.2. My X changes by 1. My Y changes by 0.3, 19.5. My X changes by 1. My Y changes by 0.3, 19.8. You should recognize now and look. 1 and 18.6, 3 and 19.2, 5 and 19.8. The same thing that's in our table. Understand what the slope is. It's a constant rate of change. So for every X value that I change by 1, my Y is going to change by 0.3. Now, this table is only shown every 2 years, but I wanted to show you here that this is actually the same thing. They're only showing you every 2 years. Now, okay, so if my Y changes by 0.3 every time my Y goes up 1, and I don't have 0, so if every time I go up 1, it's changing by 0.3. If I go down 1, I'm subtracting 0.3. So 18.3 minus 0.3 is 18.3. Now, conceptual understanding tells you my y-intercept is when x is 0. So I have when my x is 0 now, 18.3. So now I have my y-intercept. My equation is going to be y equal 0.3x plus 18.3. Now, I know you're sitting here, and I only see one person on my video. Actually, I don't see anybody in my video now, but I could smell the smoke coming from your brain. And you're sitting here saying, oh my God, Mr. Tinsley, I'm not going to get this before I take my exam. That's why I'm trying to tell you, you don't have to do all this work. You just have to recognize that the table is a way of showing you multiple points. And then what you're going to do to make this problem easy, because people keep saying, Mr. Tinsley, why you keep saying easy on your videos? Because if you take your time and have a conceptual understanding by using the calculator, this problem becomes easy. Watch this. And again, I demonstrate it in my ebook. Boom. Once you identify that these are my 2 points, I go to my calculator, I go to data, I put my X's in, 1, enter, 3, enter. I hit my right arrow, I put my Y's in, 18.6, enter, 19.2, enter. Second, data, 2 variable, calculate. Come down to my A and B. I want to show you. Look at that. It gives you your y-intercept and your slope right there. That's my slope. That's my y-intercept. Now, you have to know y equal mx plus b. So instead of m, I'm going to put 0.3. Instead of my b, I put 18.3. That took 20 seconds. Instead of 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, it took 15 seconds. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Listen, I know everybody wants to pass this exam. I know this work seems difficult. I'm telling you, these 17 chapters in this ebook is going to take the most difficult problems and make them easy. That problem with the calculator took me 15 seconds. If I do this by hand, it's going to take me about 10 minutes. This problem, getting an equation from a table, is considered a difficult problem on the GED exam. If you learn how to use the calculator, it's a 15-second problem and it's easy. Now, the last time I went over this, somebody asked me, they said, Mr. Tinsley, can I use any points? I'm about to show you. Watch this. I'm going to clear everything out because I need you to understand that finding the equation of a line, you can use any 2 points. It does not matter. So I'm going to use this one and I'm going to use this one. I just picked them randomly. What are my x's? What are my 2 x values? What are my 2 x values?
19.8 and 2.2.
What are my 2 x values?
X2, right? You want?
Nope. What are my 2 x values?
5 and
X is
13.
the year and Y is the trunk.
1 and
X
3.
is the year and Y is the trunk. So what are my 2 x values?
1 and 3.
No, what 2 points do I have selected?
5 and
13.
5 and 13. Again, that's conceptual understanding. You must know that a table is showing you points, that X is your first column, Y is your second column. So if I want my 2x values, I need to look in my first column, 5 and 13. So 5, enter, 13, enter.
Right.
Hit my right arrow to move over to my second column. I need to put my 2 Y values. What are my 2 Y values?
19.8 and 22.2.
19.8, enter, 22.2, enter. That doesn't take a lot. What
No,
it
I
takes
know.
on your part is being able to identify what 2 points you're going to use. That's it.
Right.
Now, watch this. Second data, 2 variable calculate.
Right.
And I go down to lowercase a, lowercase b. Again,
So,
did I get this? Did I get the same slope?
Yep.
Did I
yeah,
get the same Y intercept?
yes, but Mr. Senzi, so it was
So
like
let me
that
make this nice and big so you can see it.
these wasn't one of the answer choices though. Like, so that's what I'm saying. So
So
this is
you
like
so you're looking for what? These is one of not your answer choices. Okay. Let's look at it. Let's make sure. We have to understand. See, and this is why math builds upon each other. Sometimes in probability, they'll give you fractions, but they got decimal answers. Sometimes they'll give you decimals in the question and have percentages and answers. You have to know the decimal equivalent. Okay, so for example, okay, that's not what they gave me. That I don't see 0.3 now. In this question, that you do see them. You do see them. There's my 0.3. There's my 18.3. But
right.
what you have to understand is this. Let me show you. So 0.3 and 18.3, they got fractions in the answers. They got fractions in the answers. You got to know how to change 0.3 to a fraction.
I do.
So 3/10. So
30%.
so y, not no, I didn't say 30%. I said how to change it to a fraction. So y equal 0.3x plus 18.3 is the same as y equal 3/10 x, right? Let's change 18.3 to a decimal. 18.3 or to a fraction, right? Boom. So that's what 18.3. How do you change that? Well, understand 18.3 is 18 and 3/10. So my mixed number and turn to an improper fraction. So if it's in fractions, again, I could put 3/10 x plus 183 over 10. This is the stuff while using the calculator, you will learn and you have to understand. You're not always going to see it the same way. And this is what I mean by that. Let me turn to a blank page real quick. Let me go to my blank page. Where's my blank page? Where did you go? There we go. They might not give you the same way all the time. They might ask you, they might say 0.4. Well, what's 0.4 as a fraction? What's 0.4 as a fraction?
25.4.
Nope. What's 0.4 as a fraction? Okay, that means we must know place value. So this is what I mean about the small 4/10. Why? Because this place here at the decimal point is tenths. So 4/10, is that reduced to lowest terms?
No.
No. 2/5. So 0.4 is the same as 2/5. What's 0.4 as a percent?
40%.
40%. So in a linear equation, you could have y equal 0.4x plus 7. You could have y equal 2/5 x plus 7. These are the same exact equation. You have to know that 0.4 and 2/5 are the same thing. So if on your calculator, you got 0.4 as your slope, but in the multiple choice, all they have is fractions, you have to understand that you got to go, let me clear everything out. 0.4, you have to know how to change it to a fraction. So right, you might not see it the same way. you have to recognize that numbers have equivalence. Fraction, decimal, percent equivalence. That's the first thing that I go over. One of the most important things you must know, the fraction, decimal, percent equivalence, because you may see them in different ways. So on your calculator, your slope may say 0.3, but the multiple choice might not have 0.3 as the slope. But you got to understand that 0.3 is 3/10. So you got to expect y equal 3/10 x.
Okay.
They're not, listen, you cannot remember problems. You have to understand it conceptually. So this is why, if you go through my ebook, I ask you questions, I make you do practice, and then I give you GED type problems. What everybody's trying to do is just trying to remember. Oh my God. But you have to remember, almost every math concept depends on a previous math concept. Okay, so you must know that. And now, again, but that's all practicing with your calculator.
Right.
For example, 0.4 is 2 feet.
Yeah, 0.4 in the toggle bar, give me the fraction. I didn't know that.
Dig your percentages right there.
Right.
Right. You might not, you didn't know. You have to know that this toggle button changes between percents and fractions. Got to know it. 0.5. Okay. If I hit the double arrows, 1/2. You have to know that. That's why it's one of my first lessons. So people think, oh, I got the ebook. Oh, I know how to do this. Oh, I know how to do this. I know how to use the calculator. Listen, I'm telling you, take the 2 weeks to take your time to go through that ebook, because when you see those problems and you'll be able to use this calculator, it'll make the test easy. I'm telling you, it's worth investing those 2 weeks in. I don't want you to just say, oh, I know how to add. But what I'm doing, I know how to multiply. But what I show you in the book is this: 3 times 5 is the same as 3 parentheses 5. It's the same as parentheses 3, parentheses 5. They're all the same. So when you start seeing algebra, when you notice, I only use parentheses in my multiplication. Why? Because when you see your formulas, and you have to plug them in. If you know parentheses of multiplication, it makes it easy. All you're doing is substituting in. Your sign numbers, you have to know that if I'm starting an expression, -3, I have to use this negative near enter, times 5. -3 times 5. -3 times 5. They are all the same. You have to be familiar with how and understand what they are, because sign numbers, listen, I'm going to tell you, every single person that goes for the GED has problems with sign numbers and absolute value. If you don't understand to go through my ebook and do sign numbers, you will never have that problem again. If you can't, if for example, this is what I mean by that. Let me clear everything out. Let me show you. Again, let me connect concepts. Watch this. 7x minus 3x minus 10x minus 15x. First of all, you have to recognize that these are like terms because they all have the variable x. So in my calculator, I'm not going to worry about doing this by hand. In my calculator, I'm going to do 7 minus 3 minus 10 minus 15, because all I'm doing is combining the coefficients. So when I combine them, I get minus 21. So since they share or they're like terms, my answer is minus 21x. So now, do I need to know combine like terms? If you know what a like term is and how to group them together, then you can use the coefficients and use your calculator. Let me show you another example so we understand, because I need you to connect using this calculator on the concepts with math to make your job easier. For example, watch this: x squared minus 3x minus 6x squared minus 10x. And on the test, they might say simplify. And most, oh my God, how do you do this? Oh my God, my problem. You have to know that x squared and minus 6x squared are like terms. Why? Because of the x squared. That's what makes them like terms. You have to understand the minus 3x and the minus 10x are like terms because of the x. That's what makes them like terms. So when I look at this x squared and I look at this minus x, what I'm going to put in my calculator to combine them is 1 minus 6. Well, what's 1 minus 6? I don't have to know anymore because I can use my calculator. So when I combine them two, I'm going to get minus 5, and I'm going to keep my variable, x squared. When I have my next two terms for my x, I have minus 3 and minus 10. You have to recognize using this calculator, since this first term is a minus, I must use this minus sign. Minus 3 minus 10. That's a small mistake that people make. But if you don't know that, I give you this knowledge in the ebook. So I'm hit enter. Now I get minus 13. So now I know minus 13, and I'm gonna keep my variable x. So to simplify it, minus 5x squared minus 13x. People spend hours and weeks learning how to combine like terms, and they still have problems because of sign numbers. I give it to you in the ebook. Don't skip anything. Go through the problems, do the practice. It'll take you 2 weeks. I'm telling you, it'll make your job 1,000 times easier. It'll make it 1,000 times easier. That's why most people who take the test, they finish 30 to 40 minutes early. They have 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes left. Because you have to understand every step of the way. So I show you how to do fractions. I show you how to do mixed numbers. One of your first 5. Can you use the calculator for the first 5? No. But while you're practicing, and I'm telling you, this is going to be on your test, what's 5 2/3 as an improper fraction? Well, learn how to put it in your calculator. So if you know how to do it, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17, 17 over 3. Then hit enter, check your work. All you need to do is 10 or 15 of those, then you got that concept down. Same thing with squares, with square roots, cube roots. You practice, then using your calculator. That way you commit it to memory. Then these problems become easy. The first 5, I'll be on these Facebook groups, and they tell you the first 5, oh, don't worry about it. It's not important. Are you out of your mind? The first 5 is basic math. That's like telling you in a race, I'm gonna give you a 5 feet head start. There are 5 problems that you can bank on every single exam. Don't worry about the first 5. I saw an educator say that in her room. I exited her room. They're giving you 5 basic math questions that you're going to get on every exam. I have a whole section, the first 5. These are the areas that you're going to see your first 5 from. Be ready. That's like, oh, I got the first 5. That means if I get the first 5 right, that means I only need 20 out of the next 35 questions right. That's all I need to pass my exam. The first 5 are important. I got a whole section, the first 5. Gotta know them. Practice, but now, can you use the calculator on the exam for those first 5? No. But as you're practicing, you'll realize those are the easiest problems on the exam. You gotta do them. You gotta do them. You got to. You got to. Because they're easy. And then the linear equations. I just showed you how to find an equation from 2 points. So that's a guaranteed question. They're going to ask you explicitly, what's the slope or the equation from these 2 points? But guess what? A table is also another way of giving you 2 points. A graph is another way of giving you 2 points. So if you learn how to use the calculator to find the equation of a line using 2 points, that's a difficult question that you can do in less than a minute. And this is what I'm telling you. Listen, I can't say it enough. Because I have people all the time, Mr. Tenzi, 17 lessons, it take too long. I'm tired of looking at books. You're right. What I'm telling you is, I'm going to take your studying time from 6 to 9 months down to 30 to 60 days. Take your time, go through the lessons. If you have questions, you have problems, send me an email, send me a text, call me. I don't care how you do it. I don't understand this problem. Boom. I can tell you right now, there are 4 people on this call that they email me, text me, or call me about problems. And then they said, oh, Mr. Ten, oh, now I understand it. Oh, I got it. And then they went and did the rest of the problems. That's why I made the ebook. I'm out of Pennsylvania. The pass rate for math in Pennsylvania is less than 40%. Less, I don't know, I can look up the other states, but for my state, it's less than 40%. That means more people fail it than pass it. This is why I had these sessions. That's why I made that book. I'm telling you, since 1 year ago, I'm at 118 people that passed the exam. I helped 118 people pass the exam. I'm giving you the blueprint. Now, if you don't want to listen, or if you don't want to follow it, then that's on you. What I'm telling you is, take 2 weeks, do that ebook. Do those practice problems. Come to your GED Math on Mondays. Do the practice test on Schoology site. Take your practice test on GED Ready. Have your one-on-one with me. You're going to pass your exam. I'm giving you the blueprint. There is not one person, well, there's one person now, that if you put the hard work, finish this ebook, learn how to use this calculator, you're going to pass. Why? How do I know? Because I'm 100% basically. I'm 100% basically. I'm giving you the blueprint. Don't take shortcuts. I know in your mind you want to say, oh, I got this deadline. I got to take this. I got to rush. When you put pressure on yourself, I got to take it. Oh my God. No. Take the 2 weeks. Go through this ebook. I'm telling you, it'll make so many things so much clearer, especially the difficult problems. Now, I'm telling you, quadratic equation. Have you ever used them in real life? No. Have you used your linear equation in real life? No. Have you did a system of equations in real life? No. Have you ever applied a point in real life? No. You don't use these things in real life. That's why I decided to create this ebook. So that the difficult problems you'll be able to do in less than 1 minute. Not 5 minutes, not 10 minutes, less than 1 minute. So take your time, walk through it. It takes you about 2 weeks. If it takes you longer, no big deal. I'm telling you. I had people fail this test 17 times, 12 times, 8 times, 10 times. I had a person fail the test 17 times over a 3-year period. Did my ebook in 2 weeks, studied with me for 2 weeks, came to 2 of GED Math Mondays, passed the exam. Passed the exam. Listen, fear will stop you from getting a lot of things. But let me tell you what fear does. Fear drives motivation, because you should be saying, I'm going to prepare myself to overcome this barrier. I don't care how many years I've tried. I found a person, a site, in a book that's going to guarantee my success. Because what did I tell you? I'm not going to let you go to your pass. I'm not going to let you go to your pass. But what I need from you is the hard work. What I need with you is the practice. What I need from you is the dedication. What I need from you is to take the time. So, for example, I'm just turned 50. I just turned 50. I think I got ADHD now. I don't know where it came from, but all of a sudden I can't concentrate. So I understand math is frustrating. You know what? Break it down to a lesson a day or a lesson every 2 days. Take your time, break it down into smaller chunks. So you might say, oh my God, I know this already, let me skip it. You might say that. But what I'm telling you is those small little things that you're missing might make something in a harder concept much easier. And then you have conceptual understanding. So when you take that exam and you see those 2 points, you know right away. You see that table and you see those 2 points, you know right away, oh, I can plug that in my calculator. That's a minute problem. Because why? Listen, this is the beauty right here. It's only 40 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 11. They're giving you 11 guaranteed problems you're going to see in the exam. You couple that with the first 5, that's 16 problems. That's 16 problems. Well, how many do you need to pass, Mr. Tinsley? Hold on, that's 40. And if there's 40 questions, that means I need 23 questions right. If there's 45 problems, I need 26 questions right. You have to know that going into your exam. So when you see that difficult problem that's frustrating you and making you pull your hair out, skip it, flag it for review. Don't worry about it. Why? Because you're focused on the easy and medium problems that you've been practicing on for months. That I gave you a site that you can practice as many times as you want. Practice, practice, practice until you got it. Then move on to the next section. Send me a text. Oh, I don't understand this. Send me an email. I don't understand this. Send me a call me. I don't understand this. It's up to you. When I'm telling you, I'm giving you the blueprint. Take 2 weeks, go over that ebook. Then start your practice for each section. Go down. If it's easy, if you think you already know it, because this a young lady sent me an email the other day. She said, Mr. Tinsley, I want to start at this section. I said, listen, I would recommend starting from the beginning, from whole numbers. She said, I already know it. I said, well, prove it. If you know it, you'll go into that pretest, you'll score 80 or above, move past it. She sent me another email. She said, Mr. Tinsley, I didn't know, I thought I knew decimals in the decimal places, but now I understand percents much better. I understand ratio and proportions much better because now I understand that a ratio is really just a fraction. So since I didn't understand fractions, now I understand ratios. And because I understand ratios, I understand a proportion. She said, Mr. Tinsley, is a percent is a ratio, right? I said, yes, a percent is a ratio. 85 out of 100, 85% is a fraction, 85 out of 100, but it's also a ratio, 85 to 100. But that simple thing helped her understand, and now she scored 80s and 90s all the way through. Fractions, decimal percents, ratio, proportions, now she on algebra. She's like, Mr. Tinsley, thanks. I said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You may understand it, but sometimes those small things that opens up your eyes to say, oh, now I understand that. Just for example, ordered pair. Take the words ordered pair. Ordered. That means X before Y. You can't forget that if you understand ordered pair. Pair meaning two. I must always have an X and a Y. Two. X before Y. You can never get ordered pair. If you understand the words ordered pair, now I know. So now you can't put the Y first. You can't put the X first. Why? Because the first thing you should be doing when you're practicing locating points or plotting a point in a coordinate plane, this is my X-axis, this is my Y. Ordered pair, X before Y. So I need to put my X value. Okay, draw a line down to your X. That's my X. Draw a line over to my Y. That's my Y. Put them in parentheses. Do the same thing every single time. Then that question is an easy problem. But it wouldn't be on this sheet if people didn't miss it. Why? Because they put Y comma X. That's not an ordered pair. X is before Y. That's simple. And these are the things, those small things in the ebook I go over. So I give you ways how to do it by hand. And then I show you how to use it on the calculator, how to do it on the calculator. Every single problem on this exam, I show you how to do with the calculator. System of equations, quadratic equation, linear equations, a missing dimension given area or volume. I show you every single type of question you're possibly going to get on this exam. Take the 2 weeks, I'm telling you. And that's why I say money back guarantee. Because if you go through this ebook and then fail the test, something wrong. I'm telling you. That's why I say money back guarantee. I'll give you your money back. Because my goal is not money. My goal is not my goal is not money. My goal is to help people change their lives, to get your diploma, to show you that you could do something you thought you couldn't do, something that you struggled with or became frustrated for years that you can do, that you can get that better job. You can go to college, you can go to training program, you can go to a nursing program.